Axel Rudi Pell, Night's Call. 10 tracks, 58 minutes, the 17th album, believe it or not, from the US-German five-piece, released March 2018 via SPV Steamhammer. They don't look to be any promo tracks at all for this, and I can't find producer info either. The really interesting thing about this band is that they continue to put out a new full-length album every 2 years, which is a massive fucking effort. Nick?
Yeah, look, I was going to mention, if there's a musician that truly loves what he does, it's got to be this guy, Axel Rudi Pell. So from now on, I told the guys I'm shortening it to ARP because there's too much writing it out. Yeah, every 2 years this guy's releasing an album, so it's just ridiculous rate of output. So right at the top, I want to say that ARP's long-term singer, the criminally underrated Johnny Gioli.
No, he's good.
He's in fine form on his album. And I urge everyone out there to go and check out his main band, Hardline. Especially their debut album, Double Eclipse from 1992, which is probably my top 10 favourite debut albums of all time.
Hardline are pretty good.
Yeah, so if you haven't got that record, you best go out and unfuck that situation ASAP. Because
he's referenced that as well this week. Fuck, he's on fire.
Okay, so as for the record itself, though, so there's the typical instrumental intro that ARP normally does, as expected. But as expected from then on, it's pretty much a hard rock feast. Pretty good stock standard formula to most of the tracks on here. You can bet there's going to be killer riffs, huge choruses, and blistering solos. I mean, that's what he's known for. ARP's been doing this for too long to completely suck at it. I mean, he's found what he's done. He's found his pocket there, and he does it really well.
He's just in his niche.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think he can do a bad song in his genre.
No, and the last album was good too.
Yeah, that's the thing. They're all pretty good, and they all kind of sound similar. So normally I'd complain that it sounds a little bit too samey, but the real saving grace here is that Gioli is so bloody versatile and has one of the greatest voices for this style of music. So he really adds a lot to this album and keeps the listener engaged for the journey, with the exception of a few tracks where I think ARP is ripping off his past material a little bit too close to home. Axel himself, he's in fine form, some great riffs and countless incredible leads to be found throughout this record. Check out the riff in Wildest Dreams. That's effortless. It's got a really Iommi-esque groove to it. Devil and Daughter. It recalls, in my mind, it reminded me a lot of Devil and Daughter from Sabbath's Headless Cross album, which is an underrated album as well. Other tracks like Long Live Rock having the sort of, that's got like a really slidey kind of riff. So he's versatile if not anything else. The Wild and the Young kick swings into overdrive for after a bit of a subdued introductory piece, but it's a great album all overall. All said, this is really the ARP show, which is great. And as great as that may be, it's also one of the drawbacks because the production is definitely geared towards him more than anyone else in the band. I think the drums and the bass are definitely pulled down in the mix, everything like that. It's a guitarist album, so it's like when you listen to a Malmsteen album, even if there's vocals, you're not going to hear anything. As soon as the solo kicks in, the levels go up to 10, and that's kind of what's happening on here. The drum sounds a little bit muddy, but the guitar production is top notch. Wonder why. Album's biggest flaw is that a few of the songs feel like retreads of past material. So his output has been a tad bit formulaic for a while now, and I find it hard for my mind not to travel to other albums that he's done and think, okay, so he's ripped this riff off that song, this riff off that song. So as much as I say he does what he does really well and it doesn't sound samey, I think it's just gone a bit too close to home. You get that kind of we've heard this before kind of feeling on a lot of it. Not a lot of it, some of it I should say. So overall, Night's Call, it's another respectable entry into the canon of ARP. I don't think anyone expects an adventurous record from them at this point in their career.
No.
And whilst it's not the strongest ARP in the record in the catalogue, it's a pretty solid effort, and it should be appreciated by anyone that really likes hard rock, heavy metal. Standout tracks for me are The Wild and the Young, Tower of Babylon, and the very fun Slaves on the Run. So I'll give Night Calls 7 guitar solos out of 10.
Wasn't really over the back catalogue of this one. 17 albums is insane. So I didn't go back and listen to the older stuff because I didn't have a week.
No, we reviewed the last album previously on the show.
Yeah, okay. I just think this is very cool vintage metal. Very vintage in style and in sound. It's important to note if you are an up-and-coming guitarist, you can never have too many pinch harmonics. Yeah. And I think they highlight that really well.
Yes, you can. Don't listen to him.
No, it's a wonderful thing. This album to me kind of, it sounds like Dragon Force without the stupidity.
Actually, I'll pay that.
Yeah, like melodically and everything, it follows to a very sort of Dragon Force kind of sound. They just don't have all the dumb widdly diddly shit going at a million miles an hour all the time.
And no double fucking blast beats either.
Yeah, that's it. There is a fair amount of cheese through the middle of the album. But it's not awful. It's just typically vintage cheese, which is okay. The instrumentation, I think, generally is really nicely done throughout the whole album. Really tasty guitar work, as you'd expect. Nice when the acoustic guitar comes in and the piano and the ballad tunes, I think, works really, really nice. Vocals are really, really strong. Some great backing vocals again on this one, which I think really sort of enhances the melody they were going for a lot. Nothing really groundbreaking here, but it's a pretty good listen. Probably not something I'll go back to regularly, but a solid album. I gave it 6 out of 10. Highlights were Slaves on the Run, Truth and Lies, and Beyond the Light.
Yeah, cool.
Well, it's interesting, as usual for him, with the interlude piece to open the album with. It's just riff-driven old school metal, plenty of melody here, though. The production could do with more punch. It's not bad, but it's very snare and vocal-centric for me, and could do with being a little more even to make the whole thing punch out a bit more. I like the energy on it. There's nice vocals on this, which is what you were referencing. What I was saying about the mix doesn't take away from the listen. Once you settle in on it, you're fine. You can hear everything, including Caesar. You can hear everything at the right times, but it's more of a case of they pull things back as opposed to bring things up, which doesn't make a push through for me. There's not a lot of production tricks applied in this one either. It's just pretty straight ahead for the record for the most part as well. It's just plug, play, capture, mix, and release. That's just kind of what it is.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's fine for this style of music, though. Lyrics are good, if a touch generic. Not a bad thing. It's just that they aren't doing anything new here. They know who they are, and what they do well, so they're just sticking to what they know. Probably one of the few to get away with it these days. Not many can get away with it anymore. I think they're flirting with danger a little bit on this front, on this record, but they haven't quite crossed the line yet.
No, but they're treading it pretty close at this stage. So.
There is certainly some cheese in this, for sure.
Yes.
It's all built around medieval themes, as expected, with a few switches here and there for the modern-day anthemic type of moment. But I like the way the riffs and the keys play off of each other. The mix doesn't always show up, but when it cuts through, it cuts through well. They have gone for some big anthemic type songs on here, built for the European festivals. I'm not sure they nailed them, however. That will come down to taste, but for me it was a bit too cheesy. It just didn't quite get done right. Long songs make a long album, and this one does that. The guitar work is very well done, with some great riffs and solos. However, the overall writing does tend to drag its feet a bit and become repetitive, which is a shame for me. All the performances are fantastic. It's really well put together overall. You do feel stuck, though, in one gear. It could have been trimmed down a touch for mine. If you love this kind of music generally, you're going to enjoy this, but for me, it just needed some cutting back. There are some tempo shifts on this, and overall the track order is well thought out. But overall, the feeling I got is if you're in one gear, it's more revs being applied in the same gear versus changing gear itself. Exactly. That's the feeling I got from this record. It also falls into having pretty much all the cliches too, which you either love or hate. So it's a bit too generic in that regard. I do like the instrumental place in the middle of the record. I think that's also nicely followed by a ballad, but it does feel overall, again, like that gear. It just doesn't get moved too much. It's one of those albums that'll please the fan base, the existing fan base. They'll be into it, but it won't grow the fan base at all. Making the music they want to make, and you can tell they're all right into it. It's not phoned in. This is a meat and potatoes kind of album, but everyone's enjoying it. If you like melodic, traditional, or power metal, it's worth a listen. If not, this one, when you're over it, as it does drag its feet a bit. If any of these songs individually come up on random shuffle, you'll enjoy, but as an album, I found it a bit too much. The closing epic, though, wasn't a bad way to finish off. I didn't mind it, for me. I gave it a 6.5 out of 10. Truth and Lies, the instrumental, was my standout track, believe it or not. But the vocals are fantastic. I also picked Slaves on the Run and Tower of Babylon. So check it out for yourselves and let us know what you think.